Hello, everybody. Greetings from NSN Hyderabad. As you are aware, we have been inviting a lot of experts to share their expertise in various areas of skill development. And we have also done a small series with Tata Strive. To continue with that series, we have Bhaskar here again. He's been good enough to give us little more time. This time, we are going to learn on a very different topic. So, welcome, Bhaskar, to this talk.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for this
Bhaskar
opportunity to
Natarajan.
interact.
Yeah, so Bhaskar Natarajan is the head program execution at Tata Strive. He looks into many aspects operations, content development, faculty development, and quality assurance at Tata Strive. So, with this varied experience in various aspects of skills and vocational training, let's learn from Bhaskar today about how trainers and facilitators can be transformed into coaches and what is the value that comes through this and how Tata Strive has done this in their own unique way to build a unique model which is highly sustainable, scalable in skill development. So let's go ahead, Bhaskar. The first question to you would be, isn't there an overlap with these roles like trainers, facilitators, and coaches? How would you want to expand on this?
Thank you so much, Madhuri. This is a very critical aspect in skill development
Mm.
because this is a very new and nascent industry, so to speak, in India. While the role has evolved many centuries ago, we are in Asia who believe in Guru Sishya Parampara. Now, when we talk about skill development, we attract mainly students who are somewhat not very adept in coping with academic path, the well laid out and worn out path in the schooling system, and those who are deprived or marginalized to get into that path, right, either socially or economically. That's the kind of population we generally get. And parents also look favorably towards a academic qualification rather than a vocational qualification. So now let's talk about the trainer, facilitator, or the guru in a skill development classroom.
Mm.
So we need two kinds of gurus. One is a person who would shape the personality of a student in terms of soft skill, non-cognitive skill. It goes by many names.
Mm.
Employers typically say we hire them for attitude and train them for skill.
Yeah.
So skill takes secondary, the domain part, while attitude, personality, and other things take precedence, because that's very difficult to shape on the job by an employer. It takes a lot. So that's the distinction. Two kinds of gurus we have, and many a times the trainers are not enthused to join a skill development industry because it doesn't pay as much as a corporate job. So if one is a corporate trainer, they have a lot of avenues to grow, pride in profession and so on. Whereas people who are driven majorly by heart and want to give back to society and want to do something good for people, youngsters especially, they pick up this profession. So now when we look at these two kinds of persona, the ones who shape the personality of a youth, the other one who teaches them the skill, the vocational or domain skill, which is required for them to clear the interview and take a first break in the corporate world. So both the trainers need certain aspects in their personality to be a good trainer. Typically, we attract talent who are not very significantly, older in age to that of a student. That means the age gap between a learner and a faculty is not that high. So that also is one other challenge we are grappling with. Or in a manufacturing or old economy or technical training areas, we have a huge age gap. Perhaps in some instances, it's a generation difference. So again, the students are unable to connect with such a vast, gap. So then we hit upon a plan of training our trainers or facilitators on coaching skills. So what happens is when they learn coaching skills, there are four basic things we teach them. We talk about active listening. When youth is talking, when a trainer listens to their problems and they listen to them non-judgmentally, that means they don't put any value or a label to whatever the youth is sharing with them. So they are more forthcoming in sharing their innermost fears or anxiety or even excitement of achieving something. The second skill we teach a trainer is the art of asking powerful questions. So
Okay.
many a times when youth come with a problem, we see a typical reaction or a response from a trainer that they give away the solution immediately. Thereby, they become a crutch.
Yeah.
Every time when a youth is facing a problem, they just go to their trainer or guru and say, "I'm stuck here. What do I do?" And they give away answer. After training program is over, trainer is not going to be with the student at the job. So whom do they go then? And
Yes.
on the job, they don't get any such favorable or pleasant conversation or someone who looks up to these guys. So then it becomes a difficult, and dropouts happen at that stage because no one gives them any solution or bails them out of a problem.
Right.
So from a crutch to become a coach, we teach them on art and science of asking powerful questions. The third skill we teach a trainer is on how to set goal with the youth. Many a times we come across research that youth who pick up entry level jobs uh, get disenchanted with the new industry or a new job because of the word target.
Yeah.
So the employer would assign them targets after 3 months on they are very new. There is a lot of room for them to learn and hang around and shadow a senior. But after 3 months they're assigned a target. Now they are scared. What if I don't achieve the target? It'll reflect on my identity and I don't want to be a failure. And we have not built a system where failures are looked favorably upon.
Correct.
So they drop out. So
Mm.
this is another skill we teach our trainer, how to help youth set their goal, which is SMART. Most of us are familiar with the acronym SMART:
Right.
specific, measurable, achievable,
Yeah.
realistic, and time bound.
Mhm.
Sometimes M also stands for motivating goal.
Okay.
It's not a daunting goal all the time. Sometimes it could be very inspirational thing that we want to achieve. So a trainer learns a skill as a coach to set meaningful, motivating, and measurable targets or goals for youth. So in a duration of 3 months, when they are together with this learner, they achieve at least 3 to 4 goals,
Okay.
which is a good predictor that they are able to face any kind of situation on the job, and they stay on the job beyond 1 year. So we
Okay.
have found a correlation when a trainer exercises the skill as a coach and helps youth in setting their own goal and achieving them, at least 3 or 4 goals, while they are with them in the class.
Mhm.
The likelihood of the learner staying on the job beyond 1 year is far higher.
Okay.
The fourth and very important skill is to be an accountability partner. Many a times what happens, trainers take a very soft approach. Acha, you're not able to do this, it's okay, fine, do it tomorrow.
Mhm.
Because they want to win a popularity contest. Being a trainer is like a popularity contest in many sense, because they are scared of the word dropout.
Yeah.
So they can't explain this to a center manager or a project manager. So they are very accommodative to any excuse conjured by a student. So when we teach them to be a good accountability partner as a coach, they ask more questions on why the learner was not able to achieve that goal. What interferences came in their way? What impediments came in the way? How they can handle it? Which of them are beyond their control? Which of them are within their control? How
Yeah.
to navigate these obstacles in life,
Mhm.
and also be very hard on them when they are not achieving goals, in spite of having all the opportunity and resources for them to achieve it. Right. So this accountability partner is a art and a science which trainer learns when we prepare them as a coach. So
Okay.
now as a standalone trainer, they could have become a crutch for a student. Now with the coaching skill fortified in a trainer, they are truly a accountability partner for a learner. So in summary, these four very important coaching skills are taught to a trainer so that they can do a better job: asking powerful questions,
Mhm.
active listening, goal setting, and being accountability partner.
Yeah.
So this is a big differentiator in Tata Strive, if you ask me. We also offer this program to our network partners who are interested in this. Many such network partners in India have nominated their employees, the trainers, and we have trained them. And we have got resounding feedback, positive feedback, that it has really helped themselves as an individual.
Yeah.
Because many a times when I apply coaching skills to myself, being a non-judgmental trainer has given me many big dividends in my personal life as well. So many of them keep sharing the same feedback, that they have become a better person after attending the training program, and they're able to handle relationships in a much better positive manner, and it is reflecting in their classroom as well. And the students are more self managed rather than always looking up for instructions or advice.
Okay, I think that was a very elaborate account, and also coming from, being hands-on. I mean, as you were speaking, I could make out that you have gone through all the nuances of how these programs are getting implemented. So let's say from the audience perspective, for some of them, today the challenge is to train the trainer. Get a proper trainer, and who's trained, and then see to it that they stay on for some time, because as you know, this domain has many other challenges, like the workload or the other aspects which are coming from how sensitive they have to be to the students, or the payment that they draw, and there's so many complicated things. It's quite complex to understand. So for such an audience, if we are talking to them about helping transform their trainers into coaches, how would you want to position this in a simple way for them, and what would be the benefit for, let's say, a typical training organization?
Sure. So this is a very often asked question with him. What is in it for me?
Yeah.
When we approach them to say, hey, in your toolkit as a trainer, you have many things. Uh, One of them is an essential tool on how to be a coach,
Okay.
the skill sets of a coach, right?
Mm.
Uh, this approach will not work all the time. Again, like any other tool, it is based on situation.
Mm.
If there's a famous saying, right? If a hammer is the only tool you have in your hand, every problem will be a nail for you, right? So we advise our participants not to use coaching in every situation. In
Mm.
some situations, it's always good to be direct and be a mentor when you know the person is requiring advice at that point in time. However, hold long enough to know the difference between whether is this the situation where you have to readily give advice, or ensure the learner is able to find their own answers which will work for them, right?
Mhm.
The second part is when the need for counseling is there. They're stuck emotionally in the past, and the key for them to move forward lies in the past. So
Mm.
then your counselor has to come out in you. There again, the skills are very different than of a coach. A coach approach would work when I acknowledge the present moment and prepare for the future, no matter what my past has been,
Okay.
right? We often tell our learner, your past need not define your future, where you go,
Mm.
right? So I'm quite clear that I'm acknowledging that you are here right now. You have aspirations, or you want to change something about you or the way you carry your work.
Yeah.
Now you have a desired future. I'll be like a transportation device from point A to point B. That's why when you go in many bus depots, you will see them as executive coach, sleeper coach, AC coach, and so on. Because a coach is typically a wagon or a vehicle that carries people from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's how a trainer also behaves in many of these situations, where it is the student who decides where to go.
Mm.
Awareness about where they are right now, what challenger obstacles they are facing, who are the important sponsors for them to reach out to, how to break down a complex uh, problem into smaller, easily manageable, controllable action steps, how to break down a goal into smaller chunks. All of this is a platform or a service provided by a trainer as a coach. But the heavy lifting, all the hard work is done by the student.
Yeah.
It's like a gym coach, right? Just by signing up for a gym class, I won't lose weight. I have to be with the coach, and both of us need to travel in the journey as a partner. Similarly, a trainer as a coach is someone who is a accountability partner for a learner to move from point A to point B. Coming back to your question, in terms of what are the things that a trainer needs to be aware of, and also how this journey can be more fruitful. uh, One thing is, how do I shackle myself away from old habits?
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
the while I've been good at helping people by
Yeah.
giving them answers, by telling them what to do, advising them on what not to do. Now I need to hold back. That's a big shift in their personality. Some of them take it very easy transition and they are very happy about it. For some, bar bar bolna padta hai. We have to remind them again and again. For that we need a supervisor who would help them in that journey. So we do often conduct a small group of coach specific training programs where a supervisor is present. Each practicing coach brings a problem or a situation that they are facing at work in dealing with the set of students, and we help them navigate that problem and say what other options they have, what are the tools and techniques they have in front of them which they could have used in that situation. If at all the same situation comes up in future, they are better equipped to remember, oh yeah, in this situation I can do this. For example, there is a very classic situation of choosing between two job offers. A learner comes to a trainer and says, sir, madam, kaun sa le lu main? Option A, option B. Option A has got all these likable features for me. Option B has got all the likable features. I'm confused. Help me out. At that time, it's a wise decision for a trainer to shift into a coach role and help the learner find which option is good for them. And there are tools available, and we have trained them on how to go step by step in arriving at one possible solution which the student themselves will come up with, so that they can stay committed to that option. If I as a trainer tell them, hey, take option A, they may go further in that direction. When some obstacle comes in, they'll come back to me again, sir, aapne bola tha option A, but there are problems, I don't think it's the right choice. Now tell me, what do I do? So again, I have to give them more advice, and they'll keep coming back to me again and again, which is not a desirable thing. They need to decide for themselves as they are embarking in this lifelong journey as a leader. So coach as an approach would really help them in these situations. Even while a training program is happening, there are many obstacles a learner would face where they would want to drop off from a program and then take up a job without a certificate or a short term assignment. All these temptations and new information they would get while they are in a training program. Again, a trainer needs to shift as a coach, help them weigh various alternatives and pick a right one which is best suited for them at that moment. So that's why a trainer as a coach is more powerful tool in their toolkit, along with other avatars they play.
Yeah, definitely. And the way you've explained, it looks like, I put on this cap now and I put on the other cap when the situation demands as a trainer or a coach. So, from the trainer and the coach's role, it's pretty clear. Now, how would it impact the students? I mean, would the students be aware that, the same trainer is now, like you gave the example of this job offer? Would the students also be aware that the same trainer is playing this role now for me or the other role? Because another point you had mentioned earlier is the age gap in certain courses could be much less than, like you said, in the traditional manufacturing type of courses, which could be more. So is this something like an issue which comes up in this kind of transaction?
Absolutely, Madhuri. It's a very important question that you have raised. We normally recommend our participants, saying upfront, you tell the student, hey, I can, who do you want to be? Me to be, sorry. Upfront, they ask the learner, who do you want me to be? as a trainer to give you my option, or you would want me to help you think through this as a coach?
Mm.
So this is something we tell them, use it wisely. And you don't have to even mention the term coach. You just have to say, hey, I can help you choose one, or I can tell you what worked for me. There is no guarantee whatsoever that it will work for you.
Right. Right.
Are you okay with it? So
Uh-huh.
when this question is asked and they wait long enough
Mm.
to make the student think and then answer, then the commitment towards that journey is far better.
Right.
It should not be like a checklist. Oh, I learned in the training program as a coach that I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
I've asked and immediately I moved on to give advice. They should wait long enough to make the student think about it.
Mm.
And then if they say, no, no, I think I would like to know what you would do if you were having this problem, then I can give my example, or if I have gone through that situation, or I can say a friend of mine whom they can go and talk to, or I can help them to say, hey, let us sit down now, another 20 minutes, let's take this time, use a pen and paper, you write down these options, tell me what do you see as benefits, what do
Mm.
you see as benefits if you don't take up this option. So this way, what will happen is they start clearing their head. The focus is not about getting an answer from the trainer now. The
Mm.
focus is more exciting to see, hey, what is there on the table? How do I look at this problem from a fresh pair of eyes
Yeah.
perspective? So then again, students benefit a lot by having this discussion. And we also have a simple tool called YDSC, Youth Development Coaching Conversation, where again we tell the student, hey, you know what, I'm going to ask you very simple questions which are very powerful,
Mm.
and you could do it yourself. When you face a situation with a tough customer or a tough situation at work, or with your boss or your colleague, you can always use these set of questions to think through a problem,
Yeah.
so that you can arrive at a solution, and the questions are given to them. We
Mm.
have a very simple 6A formula for a trainer to employ as a coach, starting with awareness, moving on to acknowledgement, then to aspiration. What is that you want to achieve out of the situation? Then talking about abilities that you currently got, which you can deploy, or people who can support you in this situation. And then action plan. How would you get from point A to point B? And finally, what is your accountability structure so that you stay on course till you reach point B without giving up?
Okay.
So this is a 6A formula we teach our trainers. And for each stage, these are stages for a change to happen.
Mm.
From I'm really overweight, I need to lose my weight. As an aspiration, it can remain without any action being taken. But when I have a partner who can think through with me, then a plan would emerge. And every time when the plan is about to put to action, the partner would keep reminding. So this way, as a trainer and a student, they can play off each other's strength, and students get to benefit a lot. And when as I mentioned earlier, when they achieve 3 or 4 goals in the 3-month duration, they feel so confident about themselves.
Mm.
At work, whenever the target is given to them, they are positively tuned towards setting that target as a final destination, breaking that into smaller chunks, and put an action plan together.
Okay. I think that's also a very healthy relationship, which gets built between the trainer and the students and the trainees. So, Bhaskar, to conclude this conversation, is there something else which you would wish to add from how it benefited Tata Strive over a period of time? And how would our audience get benefited, and how can they join this program if they are interested?
Sure, Madhuri. In fact, one of the early hurdles we felt was, hey, I joined this profession because I want to help youth. I
Mm-hmm.
know they're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
The in motherly instinct in a trainer comes out every time. When somebody is in distress, they just roll up their sleeves and go and help them. So now things have become better in the last 6 or odd years, where there is a pause between stimulus and reaction, and there is a choice between that gap. A trainer thinks, how do I proceed further? Is it a life threatening situation where I need to jump and then help, or is it a situation where I can think of a coaching opportunity here, or coachable situation opportunity with my learner, which is a big shift for us. And if someone wants to learn these four fundamental skills of active listening, asking powerful questions, setting goals, and being accountability partner, they can always reach out to us. And we have an open calendar as well. At periodic intervals, we conduct this program called Empowerment Coaching for Facilitators. It's a 40-hour program. There is an online, offline component. There are some projects and homework that a participant needs to do. They have to go back to their workplace and apply what they have learned in the class, and take that to a supervisor or a mentor to check whether they are applying it in the right context. And then the certification is given to them. Uh, as I mentioned, the app also allows them to do a group coaching, or a one-on-one coaching with the learner. In a group coaching, it happens through virtual medium in these pandemic days, or it can happen on a one-on-one as well. The app allows the learner to type in their language. Sometimes they use English alphabets to type in their own mother tongue.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything is workable between them, and it is all confidential. No
Mm.
one can see what is being conversation between the learner and the student. So they feel free to share their innermost fears and aspirations, so that they work together in this partnership.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bhaskar, for sharing all the details about this wonderful transformation of a particular person into a much larger role, which is much more empowering and also satisfying, I'm sure. Thanks a lot. I look forward to be in touch with you for future conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you so much. Stay
Thank you.
safe. Bye bye.